In this video, I'll be ranking different strategies that are popular in the industry when it comes to boosting testosterone levels naturally. I'll be ranking them whether they're good or bad, and I'll explain to you why that is. And I'm making these statements based off of working with clients for the last 5 years and doing this myself for the last decade and helping clients accomplish over 1,000 nanograms per deciliter naturally. So that being said, let's get into it. So first things first, we have cold showers. And when it comes to the ranking, S tier means it's the best, and D tier it's the worst, and in between is medium. So cold showers. So cold showers are really trendy right now, but I've made videos on this before. Cold showers are D tier because darkness and coldness is a stressor to the body, and deep sleep is a protection against it. This is why during the winter people age the most, and during the summer when there's sunlight, there's warmth, you have highest protective hormones and things like that. So cold shower therapy is really problematic. The reason why you may feel so good is because stress hormones initially may make you feel really nice. It's also known as the catecholamine honeymoon, which gives you that high and motivation. But in reality, you're spiking your stress hormones to get that reaction. And when you're spiking stress hormones, you're decreasing protective hormones like testosterone. So cold showers are definitely D tier. Next, we have ball sunning. So getting sunlight on your genitals would be also D tier. And I'll explain both of them and how you can utilize both of these strategies so you can get a better result from those two. So the reason why sunning your balls can be problematic is because your balls, there's a reason why they're in a sack away from the body. When it gets warmer, they hang lower, and when it gets colder, they get closer because they have to be in a certain temperature because there's unsaturated properties within the balls. And when you heat it too much, they oxidize, cause oxidative stress and things like that. So sunning your balls can be problematic, especially if you're doing it for prolonged periods of time. So when it comes to the cold showers and sunlight, the way I would change those two is instead of getting full body cold showers, I would get full body sunlight for the vitamin D and increasing protective hormones. And then instead of just sunning your balls, I would ice your balls because, like I mentioned, the balls like to be cooler, especially if you're sitting a lot, keeping them warm, you're wearing tight boxers. Cooling the balls would be very protective, so those things would be higher if you switch them around. But yeah, next we have training. Training I would put on A tier because training is extremely important, especially if you're doing it 3 to 2 times a week. Good full body training. There's been studies on 4 weeks full body 3 times a week has been shown to boost testosterone levels by 40%. The reason why I wouldn't put it on S tier is because some people overdo it and it goes completely other way. And then some people are in such a detrimental state that resistant training can be problematic. And there's margin of error when it comes to training. Next, we have body fat. So body fat percentage, I would put in S tier, and specifically being in that 8 or even 10 to 15% body fat. When you get too low, it messes with your hormonal regulation, and also the way guys get to low body fat percentage is really problematic, and that's what causes low testosterone. And then too much body fat is when you're having more aromatase enzyme, because aromatase enzyme is stored in the body fat, and the aromatase enzyme is an enzyme that converts your hard-earned testosterone into estrogen, and estrogen is very problematic. It's what causes like gyno and all of these emotional issues and low testosterone symptoms. So, but when you get to that sweet spot of body fat, it's golden. Next we have sleep. So sleep I would put on S tier. A good quality sleep is amazing. It has been shown that men who sleep 8 hours per night have 200% more testosterone levels than men who sleep 4 hours per night. Also, other studies show that every extra hour of sleep you get, you have 15% higher testosterone levels. So sleep is extremely important, especially getting sleep during the night when it's dark and cold, because deep sleep is a protection against it, because darkness and coldness is a stressor. There's been studies shown that every half an hour after sunset and it gets darker, you stay up, cortisol levels increase by like 15%. So sleep is super important. When it comes to accomplishing quality sleep, that's another topic for another day, and I've made videos on that. Next, brotherhood. So you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with. If you're hanging around with 4 losers or 5 losers, you're going to be the 6th, 5th one. If you're going to hang out with good, competitive, with good values individuals, they will push you forward. So an amazing brotherhood is powerful. And if you're looking for an amazing brotherhood to get on calls, talk to guys with the same values, that their goal is higher testosterone levels, I'm going to leave a link down below on the brotherhood community. There's a 7-day free trial, so you can try it for free. If you don't like it, you can leave. And yeah, that's for sure S tier. Next, we have intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting, interestingly enough, I would put on D. And some of you might say, but I feel better when I'm fasting and I'm not eating in the morning. I feel tired when I wake up in the morning and I have food. The reason why that is a completely different reason. If you're running on stress hormones, everything is out of whack, and you wake up in the morning and you have a good quality food, which food is responsible for giving you energy. But if you're in a stress state, improving the body's energy production will lead to relaxation, because you're super tense, you've been fasting all night, and that you probably didn't have deep sleep, so the darkness and coldness made you even more stressed out. Then you wake up in the morning and you have something to eat, there's light, it relaxes, and that's why you want to go back to sleep. But if you're in an optimal state, your sleep is amazing, you wake up and you eat good quality food, you will keep your energy going. When it comes to testosterone, the key factor is active thyroid hormone. So you need T3, pregnenolone, and vitamin A to produce. So T3, LDL cholesterol, and vitamin A to produce pregnenolone, and from pregnenolone you produce testosterone. If you're fasting, instead of converting thyroid hormone to active thyroid, you're converting it to reverse thyroid, which will lower the metabolic rate. So long-term intermittent fasting is problematic. Another thing when it comes to fasting, why some people may see benefits, is because their diet is just awful. So if you're not eating these awful things, obviously you're going to feel better. But if you optimize everything properly, you're eating right, you're fueling your body, you should just feel better and better. So the concept of intermittent fasting is for sure D tier. Next we have sprints. I would put them on A. Sprints have been shown to boost testosterone and DHT levels, so they're extremely good, and it's a form of HIIT, which is HIIT. And when it comes to performing HIIT training properly, there has to be a 1:6 ratio of work to rest. So you sprint for 30 seconds, you rest for 3 minutes, just like you would with resistance training. The thing that things you see online with HIIT ab workouts, that's not HIIT, that's just interval training. So sprints are very good. Next we have cardio. Cardio, I would put D tier. I see a lot of guys performing cardio, but you're training endurance. You're training in a way to teach your body to preserve your energy long term. So you're lowering the metabolic rate. You're teaching your body to preserve energy, to be in be able to sustain energy for longer periods of time, and your heart rate goes super low. And these are all signs of hypothyroidism. So cardio will lead to a lot of issues. Also, cardio leads to catabolism. That's why guys who do a lot of cardio, they look skinny fat, they lose a lot of muscle and things like that. So definitely D tier. Next we have NoFap. So NoFap I would put A tier. NoFap is extreme, like abstaining from watching those films, and overall fapping is really detrimental because it leads to micronutrient deficiencies because you're constantly busting nuts, and it messes with your mind, it messes with your gratification. Because of a click of a button, you're able to experience such a dopamine reaction versus 100 years ago. You had to develop yourself as a man. You had to do certain things to even be able to see one naked woman, for example. But now, because of a click of a button, you're able to experience such a high. It really completely messes with your drive, your motivation, your ability to commit to discipline and things like that. And also messes with your androgen receptors within the brain. So the inability to, when you do boost your testosterone levels, that testosterone to actually bind to receptors and have its positive effects. So practicing NoFap, definitely A tier. I wouldn't put it on S tier because some people idealize it. They count days, and when you count days, it becomes an idol, and the ultimate goal is conquering lust. And when you're counting days, you haven't gotten over it. If I came to you and I told you I haven't eaten a carrot for 1,000 days, you would look at me and think to yourself that I have a problem with carrots. So this is where it becomes problematic, when it becomes an idol. Then we have carnivore. I would put it on B tier. The reason why is because it leads to individuals removing problematic foods from the diet, because with carnivore you're sticking to very few foods, so that's the benefit. But the downside of carnivore is you're under eating carbohydrates, your protein is super high, so you're eating a lot of inflammatory amino acids, so long term it can be detrimental. So I would put it in B tier. Veganism, definitely D tier, because veganism is driven by eating soy, eating these weird foods that, like flax seeds, mint, licorice, all of those things that, if you've seen my videos, lower testosterone levels extremely fast. Soy, because it increases phytoestrogens, it messes with conversion of testosterone into DHT. And yeah, and you're missing a lot of important nutrients like vitamin A, like retinol from like liver and things like that. So D tier. Now, next one, being a vegetarian, I would put that in A tier, because you can get eggs, you can get milk, and it's super good if you know the right ingredients to consume. S tier is because you're still missing out on like the liver and organ meats, and if you're following the traditional vegetarian diet, you're getting a lot of green leafy vegetables, which I'll get into in a minute, and so on and so forth. So I would put it in A tier. Next we have sugar. Every testosterone coach or like trends or like videos, they put sugar as it's the devil. But sugar is just a monosaccharide. Monosaccharide gets stored, like potatoes are a polysaccharide, but when you consume a potato, it gets broken down into a monosaccharide, which is glucose sugar. And that sugar is then used to convert inactive T4 thyroid hormone into T3. So sugar, I would put in A tier. I'm talking just white sugar. If we're talking carbohydrates like fruit juices, I would put it on S tier. The reason for white sugar in A tier, sugar is very protective. It's really amazing. The entire concept of sugar being bad for you comes from the idea that cholesterol is bad for you, because consuming sugar actually increases cholesterol, because that's how it's synthesized within the body, by consuming sugar. And because they believe cholesterol is bad for you, so is sugar then. But cholesterol is important, like I mentioned, it's the foundation to testosterone production. So sugar, more cholesterol, things like that. The reason why I'm not putting it in S tier is because white sugar is deprived of B vitamins and things like that. So long-term consumption of white sugar without the addition of supplements or like liver, things like that, like really dense micronutrient foods, can lead to micronutrient deficiency, in a matter that sugar increases the metabolism, and with an increased metabolism, the need for micronutrients increases. And without replenishing those micronutrients because of the increased metabolic rate due to the sugar, it can lead to problems long term. But that can be fixed by proper supplementation or just consuming fruits, fruit juices, things like that. Next we have dairy. Dairy I would put A tier. Dairy is demonized again in the testosterone realm because estrogens in the milk and things like that. But a lot of that gets deactivated, and a lot of that's just propaganda. Dairy is amazing. The reason why I'm not putting it in S tier is because some people have problems with it. Next is it's hard to find good quality dairy. And yeah, dairy is really good, easily digestible. It's really high in calcium. It's very protective. And yeah, it's great. Next we have broccoli, and specifically vegetables. I'm going to put that in D tier because vegetables have cellulose and we lack the enzyme celluli, I'm pretty sure, which causes indigestion. It feeds endotoxins and can be very problematic long term. Also, vegetables are really high in anti-nutrients, so I would definitely avoid consuming green leafy vegetables. Next we have saturated fat. So saturated fat I'm going to put in A tier. So saturated fat is extremely amazing. It's easily digestible. When we consume sugar or carbohydrates and we consume an excess, the carbohydrates get converted into saturated fats because saturated fats are protective. So it's great. I wouldn't put it on S tier because the overconsumption of fats overall in your diets can be troublesome. It can increase serotonin. It can also mess with digestion. So saturated fats are amazing, but I wouldn't overdo it. Next we have zinc. Zinc I would put in B. Zinc is extremely important, but it's over glorified to the point that zinc is only important and beneficial to testosterone levels when you're actually deficient. If you're not deficient, what I mean deficient is there's a certain level of zinc your body needs, and you can get tests done and see whether you have high amounts or not enough amounts. And if you don't have enough, introducing zinc can be beneficial. It will boost testosterone levels. But if you have enough and you start supplementing with zinc, it can be troublesome. So I would put zinc in B tier. Next, we have magnesium. Magnesium is amazing. It's a macro mineral. It's very protective and important for proper thyroid function and things like that. and it boosts testosterone levels. The reason why I wouldn't put it on S tier is because for magnesium to really work within the body, you need to have proper thyroid function, and thyroid is responsible for retaining nutrients within the body, especially magnesium. Magnesium needs to be within the cell, and when there's stress, low thyroid, you're just peeing out all the magnesium out from the body. So magnesium goes there. Next we have ashwagandha. Ashwagandha I'm going to put in C tier. The reason why is because ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb which brings your body to homeostasis in times of stress. But ashwagandha, if you're using it on a daily basis, it can cause anhedonia, numbness, derealization, emotionless. You kind of feel disconnected. And some may say, oh, that's good, you have high testosterone, you should be emotionless. No. You should be able to feel emotions and experience life and experience those feelings, but not get stressed out and things like that. But ashwagandha completely zips out everything. You're just completely numb to everything in your life. The reason why it's not D tier is because ashwagandha can be used strategically, just like any medicine. Let's say once a month, once a week, you need it, and it can be used tactically, but I would not use it on a daily basis. And then next and last would be sex. So I would put it on S tier because it's extremely good, especially with a partner, with your wife. And studies overall being around an attractive woman boosts testosterone levels, sex boosts testosterone levels, and yeah, it's extremely important. And this goes against kind of NoFap, because with NoFap you're like abstaining completely and everything. But yeah, that being said, this was a video on how I would rank those things, and let me know if you enjoyed this video. And yeah, peace.